Today I wanted to talk about some of the best low constellations for 4-star characters that I think every account should eventually want to get their hands on. Now, I said low constellation, okay? I'm not just going to come out here and be like, get C6 of all these characters, all right? The thing is when you keep playing Genshin over the weeks and the months, you eventually just start stacking up these constellations on characters. You know, you'll get C1, C2s, even C3s faster than you might imagine, okay? And so with good planning, picking the right banner and saving up that glitter is all you're going to need to get these characters. And maybe a little bit of luck. I also really quickly want to say thank you guys to all the new subs to the channel. We just hit 3,000 subs the other day, which to little old me is quite a big deal. So seriously, thank you guys so much. I'm really happy you guys have been enjoying the videos. Let's get into the guide. So the first character I want to talk about today is C1 Bennet. So you guys may have heard at some point that Bennet is one of the best characters in the entire game. He is absolutely insane. And so you might even think, well, maybe his constellations are super important to make him so good. Well, the truth is, no. He's actually just insanely good at C0. But I think his C1 gives him just a little bit more of a boost, makes him feel a little bit more fluid, and it's a pretty low constellation, so I don't think it's a hard ask for anybody to really want to get it on their account, right? What really makes Bennet so insanely good is his burst Fantastic Voyage. He puts a big red circle on the ground, and everybody within it gets healed up a bunch, as well as gets a huge attack boost that scales with how high Bennet's attack stat is. So let's take a look at what his constellation does exactly. Fantastic Voyage's attack increase no longer has an HP restriction and gains an additional 20% of Bennett's attack. So you can see it says if the health of a character within the AoE is higher than 70%, they gain the attack bonus based on Bennett's attack. Well, now, whether you're at 1 HP, 50% HP, or even 100, right, you're gonna get the attack boost from Bennet, and that attack boost is boosted by further 20% of Bennett's attack. So like I said, it's not the most game-breaking constellation, but he's going to give even more attack, and he's going to also always give that attack. It's a C1, it's a low constellation. Bennett's one of the best characters in the game. I think everybody should get this. Next up is another 4-star hero, Sucrose. If you guys have watched some of my previous videos, you may have heard from me that I think Animo is really good, and I honestly think that Sucrose is the best 4-star Animo character in the game, hands down. She does a ton of damage. She applies Swirl a ton, especially because she's a catalyst user, so even her auto attacks are going to proc swirls, and her burst even has a grouping suck up effect as well. And the constellation that turns Sucrose into an even bigger monster than she already is just her C1. It's going to give her elemental skill 1 additional charge, so you're effectively going to be doing twice as much damage. You're going to be generating twice as much energy particles, and you're going to have a whole other chance to proc sacrificial fragments. Sac Frags is a 4-star weapon that is absolutely perfect for Sucrose. You're going to probably eventually get your hands on one of these through the gacha system, but it's got Elemental Mastery as the main stat, and every time you use your skill at R5 at least, you're going to have an 80% chance to refresh the cooldown of your elemental skill. So if you've got 2 charges, you can most definitely get 3 charges out of her skill, unless you get really unlucky, because it can only happen every 16 seconds. And guys, don't worry if you don't have sacrificial fragments, because Sucrose is a fantastic character nonetheless. You're gonna want her on your account, and you're gonna want that C1. This next 4-star character I personally value a ton, and it's Diona. I think she just does a lot of different things in one character. She gives your team shields, she heals your team, and she applies a lot of cryo when cryo reactions are some of the best reactions in the game. And admittedly, these constellations aren't these insane massive buffs to Diona, but they're just going to help her do her job even better. So her C2 is going to increase her damage of her paws by 15%, and it's going to increase how big of a shield it gives you by 15%. It also does some effect, I think, with like co-op mode, so don't worry about that, but it's just going to help Diona do her job more damage and bigger shields. But you also have to think that along with getting your Constellation 2, you're going to get the Constellation 1 on the way there, right? And this one reads, after her ult ends, her burst, you are going to regenerate 15 energy onto Diona, which unfortunately one of Diona's shortcomings can be her energy. And if you haven't been lucky enough to get a sacrificial bow yet, which is just the most perfect weapon made for her pretty much, it's going to help you get more energy to get your burst back up. So it's nothing insane or game breaking, but it's just going to make Diona be Diona even better. Next up, the character I would say that's right under Bennet in terms of the best 4-stars in the game is Xinqiu. So Xinqiu C2 is the one that really makes a huge difference in his kit, but if you're lucky enough, he's in the shop, he's on the perfect banner, you might want to even aim for his C3 if possible. C3 is just going to give him +3 talent level to his burst. His burst is where all of his damage comes from and all of his hydro application, which is what makes him such an amazing character. But let's take a look at his C2. What it does is it's going to extend the duration of his burst by 3 seconds, and then all opponents hit by the sword rain attacks are going to have their hydro res reduced by 15%. Anything that increases the duration of a skill or a burst in terms of constellations are some of the best in the game. They just flat out give you more energy, more damage, more elemental application, and that's exactly what Xinqiu wants to do. This C2 is fantastic. And along with it, you're going to get a C1, which gives him one more rain sword on his skill. So hopefully that's going to result in, you know, a longer time of having the interruption stagger resistance. It's going to help you get a bigger heal at the end. It's really not that big of a deal, but the C2 is the one we want to hit. There's not really much else to say about Xinqiu. He is a fantastic character even at C0, but I think with how universally loved and amazing he is on so many different comps, you probably are going to want to get him to eventually C2 and hopefully even C3. Finally, rounding out who I would probably call the big 3 of 4 stars is Xiangling. Xiangling is a character that you get a free copy of for clearing floor 3 of the Abyss, as well as appearing in the monthly Star Glitter shop every once in a while. So I don't feel I'm out of my boundaries by saying C4 is where Xiangling really completely just takes off. Let's read her C1, which opponents hit by Guoba are going to have their pyro resistance reduced by 15%. This is just more damage for her and her team, and even the consecutive Guoba hits that come after, and it's just an overall buff to her kit. But let's take a look at C2. Now, I think C2 really only helps her if you're using her on the national team, which I've talked about in some of my previous guides, but it's one of the strongest, best free-to-play comps in the game. It's Xiangling, Chongyun, Bennet, and Xinqiu. You're pretty much just applying a bunch of vapes and melt, a bunch of high damage reactions, and Xiangling is usually the one out on the field doing the auto attacks while all the bursts are coming on, because she has her autos infused with cryo because of Chongyun. She's melting, and then she can take advantage of this C2, which is the last attack in her normal sequence, causes an explosion, dealing 75% of Xiangling's attack as AoE pyro damage. I think this is a good constellation, but really only for that specific comp. C3 luckily hits her burst, increasing its talent level by 3, which is insane. Pyronado is a fantastic ability, and here we go. Just like I said, slow bake the C4. Pyro Nado's duration is increased by 40%. That is almost just double the amount of damage that you're going to do, because that's 40% longer, 40% more ticks, 40% more pyro application, 40% more energy, gain, right, for the whole team. Xiangling is a pyro applying just DPS machine, and C4 and all the constellations that come along with it are things that take her to just being the god 4-star character that she is. So pick those up if you can. So gamers, those were my kind of top 5 ones that I think we should get, but I do have a few honorable mentions, and we're going to start with Pirate Mama here, Beidou. The constellation that's really going to turn Beidou into that sub DPS electro monster that she can be on certain comps is going to be her C2. It's going to make it so her Stormbreaker's Arc Lightning can jump to 2 additional targets. That is effectively 3 times more damage against multiple enemies, and it's 3 times more electro elemental application. You're also going to get her C1 along with it, which when she uses Stormbreaker, she creates a shield up to 16% of her max HP, but you're not going to be building HP on Beidou, right? So it's just a little bit of a shield bonus, but that C2 is the real magic. Beidou isn't one of those super universally amazing characters on every comp, right? Like Bennet, Xinqiu, but she is really strong on the comps that she is is good with, and you're gonna want that C2 to really make her shine. Rosaria's kind of turned into one of my favorite 4-stars to use. I think she does a ton of damage and applies a ton of cryo, and I think a few of her constellations are really, really important. So her C1, when she deals a crit, she's gonna get an attack speed increase of 10%, and her normal attack damage is gonna increase by 10%. This is really only gonna help if you're running like main DPS Rosaria, which you totally can if you get lucky with an insane polearm, or even run some kind of weird comps with like Xiangling, but they can be really cool. But the really big kicker here is going to be her C2. It is going to, as I've explained before, increase the duration of her burst, Rites of Termination, by 4 seconds. The longer this thing lasts, the more cryo it's applying, the more ticks of damage it's doing, the more energy it is generating. C2 Rosaria is going to be a huge buff. So yeah, I didn't have an essay to write about Rosaria, but I really think she's one of the best cryo sub DPSs, especially for a 4-star. So if you like Rosaria, she works with the comps that you like to run on your account. Try to get that C2. So while Sara is definitely the most niche character on this list, I thought it would be kind of nice to bring it up since at the time of recording, the Raiden Shogun rerun banner is going on right now, and Sara is on the banner herself. But I also think it's just really important to mention because Sara's C2 is probably one of the most important constellations in the game, as it makes her a way better character, not only competitively, but to play her. She's unfortunately a pretty clunky character. For the Kujo Sara fans out there, don't hang me in the comments, man. I really do love Kujo Sara. She's beautiful, okay? But here's the thing, is her C2 is going to make the biggest difference in the world. When you unleash her burst, the Tengu Stormcall, it's going to leave a weaker Crow Feather at Kujo Sara's original position. That will deal 30% of its original damage. So it's only 30% of the damage, but that doesn't matter at all. What really makes Kujo Sara the character she is her attack buff that she can give to the team. Normally, you have to click her skill, she dashes back sometimes, and then you have to charge attack, fully charge, hit him, and it drops a feather on the ground that you then have to go pick up, and then you get the attack boost. Now with her C2, you just click her burst and you just immediately are standing on the feather. You immediately get the boost, you do her burst, you do a ton of damage, and then you've got the attack bonus, which is what she's meant to do. It makes her feel so much better to play, so less clunky, so less, technical and finicky. And the C2, if you want to use Sara, if you want to put her on your Raiden Shogun comp or even your Yayamiko comp, I think you should definitely think about getting her C2. So gamers, those are some of the best constellations for 4-star characters, and low constellations at that I think pretty much every account is going to eventually want to get their hands on, and that you guys should aim for if you guys do use those specific characters, or you just want to buff up your account as much as you can, right? So lads, thank you so much for watching my videos, man. It's honestly been really cool seeing how many new subscribers and viewers have been coming to the channel. So seriously guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, yo. If you do want to come hang out with me more, get a little bit more piece of my personality and not as much of the, nerd guide kind of content, check out my Twitch, guys. I stream all the time over there. We're playing Genshin all the time, and whatever new fun game, whatever new trend comes out, I'd love it if you guys join the community over there. So much love, guys. I'll keep it short. I appreciate you very much, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.